we could still do like a walkthrough thing. And I had seen Meow Wolf. I'd seen a random, like, I don't know what it was on Facebook, like a 30-second video on it. And I was like, people like art installations now? Because I went to school for art and I couldn't figure out how to make it interesting for anybody. So I was like, what? They like this? Like,
welcome to Keeping Tabs. I'm Tabitha Croc, and every Monday, I talk to someone here in North Idaho with the goal to connect more people in the Coeur d'Alene area. And then every Friday, I talk to someone outside the community to bring in a new perspective and to learn a little bit about yourself. Do you love the Pacific Northwest as much as I do and want to show it off everywhere you go? I have the best apparel for you. Go to Forever Green PNW. So that's Forever ERGRNPNW.com or on their social media and go check them out. They have the best apparel. They have sweatshirts, they have hoodies, they have tees, they have swimsuits. They've got all kinds of great things to represent the Pacific Northwest. And they also are doing something really cool, little deals with their hoodies. So go check out them. They're fantastic and have a fantastic day. All right, I have Sarah with me today. Thank you for joining me. I'm super happy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is gonna be fun.
Yes. So I met her through one of our mutual friends, Lacey, and she started to tell me of some of the cool stuff she's been doing in North Idaho. And I was like, I'm living under a rock because what she's doing and I've not experienced it. And I love this stuff. And I think I was telling you, I just come back from Vegas at the time. And I was like, we just went to this dream world place. And you're like, that's kind of essentially what I created. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? So first of all, Sarah, thank you. And tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hi, thanks for having me. So yeah, my name's Sarah Mann, and I've been an entrepreneur since I was 22. So I'm mostly just a serial entrepreneur. I start a lot of things and then I see where they go. But when I was 22, Russell, my husband, and I bought Enoteca, which is a local wine shop, and we ran that and built and grew it into wine, beer, retail, a bar, and shipping company. And so built that up for 9 years and then sold it at about 9.5 years. And that was really amazing. It was like the school of hard knocks for entrepreneurship.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And it was all of my 20s. So I was like, whoa. And then we sold it because we were both having some health issues. We were really burnt out, learned everything the hard way, and decided, like, look, wine and beer is great industry, really like it, but it is not, when I look into old age, this is not the end for me. I don't want to be doing this forever. So we decided to sell because we knew we could build it again if we wanted to. And kind of did some soul searching. We were able to retire for a couple of years and not do anything, which was nice, but the soul searching that we didn't do in the 20s. And so I did 2 programs. I did a psych program and then an entrepreneurial, like, deep dive onto online stuff, how to launch a product online and all that. And the psych I really liked because it helped me to connect with the entrepreneurial side. Like, if I were to hire people again, if I were to have a business partner again, like Russell's my business partner, he's also my life partner. And so learned a lot there as far as it requires a lot of skills to have healthy partnerships. And so did all that. And then simultaneously, my kiddo was getting older. And so I started a little fashion company, and it's still humming along, but it's still little. I keep it little because I only have so much energy. But my passion is that when my kiddo got to be in 3rd grade, he was diagnosed with dyslexia, which is fine. Okay. I didn't know a lot about it, but the more I learned, I realized, oh, I might have some dyslexia that I was struggling with. And then let's see. So 1st and 2nd grade were okay. The teacher in 1st grade was like, I think he might have some dyslexia. And we were like, okay, well, we just will deal with it. And then by third grade, his third grade teacher was like, this is a big leap because we go from learning to read to reading to learn. And it's not going to work out. And I was like, what do you mean it's not going to work out? And it basically was, we're not, long story short, they're not going to do anything. Maybe add a couple minutes to his test taking or something like that, but not really help him. And so we're like, okay, I guess this isn't the place for us. It was a little local school. And then we went in and started talking to all the public schools locally, and they were all saying the same thing. And then we knew other kids with the same issues starting to reach out, get into a community. And it was all the same stuff, which is we're not going to be able to really do anything. Meanwhile, I have a friend who has a clinic for dyslexia back then. And she said, yeah, nobody is really fully equipped with the skills locally, like locally by Pacific Northwest state of Idaho, locally. So within hours of driving and hundreds of miles. So she had this little clinic that we were paying for him to go and kind of get some remedial help, but it wasn't doing, it has to be hours and hours every day that you're building these new neural pathways. And it wasn't like the 1 hour every, I think it was 4 days a week for 1 hour. It wasn't making the dent that we needed. And so my friend who owns this clinic, we're talking and having coffee, and she's like, well, my dream would be to start a school. And I'm like, well, what's stopping you? And she's like, well, it's scary. And I was like, yeah, life's scary, but there's so many people need you. So many kids need you. And I didn't know that was the moment but she was like, oh, I need to do this. So she did. And that's crazy. We kind of talked her into starting a school, but she did. And so she bought property. It's in Post Falls. She got it's a neurological program that for 4 hours a day, the students do, and it builds new neural pathways in 18 different parts of the brain. And how I got involved with that was, we talked her into it. But then when I found out the price, I was like, oh, this is like college, like Ivy League college tuitions. Never mind. I'm so glad you did this for others, but I'm scared now. Now I'm really scared. And but Judah, so I homeschooled Judah for about 1.5 years, and then it started getting out of my league. I am not a born educator. It's not something I'm super. I think
a lot of moms are feeling that during COVID. They're like,
oh yeah,
I am not an educator.
Yeah. I would, when that started, I saw some friends that were like, what the F, I am not, why, this is not my favorite. I was like, yep, I've been there. I get it. The cool thing is though, that I am always grateful for, the relationship with my son, even though it wasn't my favorite. Right. But the relationship stuff that I saw throughout the day, I wouldn't have seen if he was all at school the whole time. So I really like that part. And while I didn't want it to go on forever, for like that 1.5 years, there was good things about it, but I knew I wasn't doing him a good service. He's a great kid. I didn't want to be stunting him with my lack of know-how. So went back to my friend crying, like, I don't even know what to do. Can you help me with some tools or something? And she's like, look, you bet on me. I'll bet on you. Bring Judah in. You'll pay something. We'll figure out what you can do. And then I would love you to just help us raise funds. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, that I can do. That was also scary, but if we bet on each other, then that's just a leap of faith we'll take together. And thank God I did all that psych about relationship stuff prior, because that really helped with communication in a really scary thing. So the couple moms that were doing fundraising before I got there, it was really a struggle. They were putting in hours and effort, and making like 1,200 here, 500 there, maybe 4,000 was the biggest one. And I was like, this is not making a dent, guys. We got to think bigger. We got to do something because this is not going to be able to pay. I mean, the school's in the red, right? And some of these things would help like pay a little bit of somebody's salary. So we had to keep going. But Elisa, the founder of the school, had taken such a big leap financially. It's very expensive to start a school. The odds were against us. And so we put our heads together, and I was like, okay, so somebody had mentioned a haunted house because we didn't want to do galas in this town. There's
so many.
Whew, and in business, I hate doing competition. I want to do something unique that provides a unique thing. Not that like if I did a restaurant or something, I would, and it's not to say it couldn't be hamburgers, like everybody's doing hamburgers, but provide something a little bit different, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So in this area, there's a ton of galas. I didn't want to do a gala because the same people go to the galas, all the same galas. It's kind of just a very not super small pool, but it's small enough that we don't need one more gala.
So
and then, right. It's just, I think they're all great. Like all the causes are awesome. It's just like, well, then why should we? So in the book, oh gosh, he has red oceans and blue oceans. So a red ocean is full of competition and a blue ocean nobody's done before. So like he gives the example of circuses. Well, everybody had done circuses with clowns and animals, and the culture shifted to where people weren't enjoying seeing animals with big chains around them and all this, like it just, which thank God. So Cirque du Soleil comes along and it's circus, but with no animals and a better production and more talent from the humans. And that's a blue ocean. So we talked about it, and they had brought up a haunted house. I'm like, guys, there's like 10 haunted houses in October. I don't think we should do that, but we could still do like a walkthrough thing. And I had seen Meow Wolf. I'd seen a random, like, I don't know what it was on Facebook, like a 30-second video on it. And I was like, people like art installations now? Because I went to school for art and I couldn't figure out how to make it interesting for anybody. So I was like, what? They like this? Like a bunch of artists got together, bought a mall and made it cool.
Yeah.
Well, we could do that. And we don't have to like rip it off where you open the fridge and you go into another dimension, but we could make it cool and people would like it. And it doesn't have to be scary. And the benefit is that our kiddos, some of our kids, like mine is also on spectrum. And so when you have autism in play, super loud noises or super frightening things like haunted houses, just they get upregulated really fast and overwhelmed and it's not fun anymore. And I was like, well, okay, so cool statistics on dyslexia. It's 20% of the worldwide population. That's a huge amount of humans, 1 in 5. So you got 5 people in a room and one is going to at least have a neurological difference, which is cool. And I'm like 20% of this population going to something cool that isn't served for them. But then, you make it cool and then everybody can go, well, maybe it'll work. So I think we've made that decision in July, and we had decided to do it in October because we thought that's when everybody will want to do it. And so we pulled the first one off in 2019 and we did it at the school because we had nothing else. We had scraped together $1,200 in sponsorships and built an entire thing. It was about, let's see, the first room was the jungle. Then there was an underwater world, a spacewalk, and the lab, the scientist lab. And yeah, so very little advertising, very little like Facebook and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the $1,200, and we made about $4,000 off of that. About 500 people went through it. And we
Wow.
were like, okay, 4,000. That's the biggest we've made so far, next to an online auction we did. And it was a ton of work, but we all like got together. And the cool part was that it was all on my shoulders, and I had never done anything quite. I mean, the wine shop's different because you have cash flow and you're paying people. When you're leading 20 volunteers, it's
It's a lot.
different.
It's so a lot. Like I run events all the time, and volunteering, like telling a volunteer to do something or asking them to do something compared to an employee, it's like, and then you also kind of feel guilty because you're like, you're doing this for like for
Yeah.
free in your own time. So it is,
Yeah.
it's like a completely different game.
Yeah. And it was, I learned a lot. It was really a pleasure and an honor to be leading that group of people. I mean, a lot of them were the parents, but then there were other people that have nothing to do with anything. They just were happy to pitch in. And so it was on me, or I felt the responsibility of being like, I need to honor their time and get my stuff in a group so that this goes well. And the thing I was like, okay, this is going to work was after the event, which was hard. It was 3 days, learned a lot. Everybody wanted to come back and help again next year. And I was like, okay, this worked. If everybody wants to help next year, then nobody hates me. Then we got something. And then the feedback from the people that went were like, are you going to do this next year? This was so great. Families of like, they had, 10 kids and stuff, and all the kids wanted to go again twice, 3 times. And it was just really special. And we thought, okay, there is a chunk of the community that really likes this. So we wanted to do that. And it made me a better person. Like there was this little girl, McKenna, who goes to the school, and her dad were helping the day we opened the first night. And I'm learning a lot about myself as I'm trying to do all this stuff. And she comes up to me and she's like, hey, Sarah, Miss Sarah, do you like being the boss of everything? And I thought about it like, because she's meeting the event. And I'm like, whoa, out of the mouth of babes. And I went, yeah, McKenna, I do. And she's like, cool. And I talked to her mom later, and her mom's like, she asked that kind of question because she wants to be like that. She wants to be a CEO when she grows up. And so she's watching women do cool stuff and then seeing if they like it. So, because that's what she wants to be when she grows up. And I'm like, oh my God, like the village, our little village is kind of, so that led to 2020 hitting and us obviously doing nothing like everyone else on planet Earth. Yep. And I mean, we did like a little short pivot for Halloween, and we delivered gift baskets, which was cool, but it wasn't our core value. Like this is going to go big or whatever. It was just, maybe we could bring in something for the kids. So that was cool, but really geared up for 2021. And so we were able to, let's see, our little team. So it's a team of 3 core people that pull it off. It's me and 2 other ladies. One doesn't have kids and she just adores the foundation. And then the other one has a child that goes to the school too. And the foundation is separate from the school. So the school is a for-profit institution. That is so that it doesn't necessarily have to fit in the constructs of what the education system is. And it's kind of confusing, but it's the reason that they have to do that is because the current education system as it is doesn't help neurodiverse people. So it's like, we can't be a charter, because then they would be like, well, then you have to fit in this box. Well, these kids don't fit in that box. So it's for profit, but it doesn't make profit. And so we started a foundation that's completely a 501c3 that's separate. And its whole purpose is to raise scholarship funds for anybody that would like to attend that school or any school like it in Idaho. Actually, I think it can be anywhere beyond. Nope, it's just Idaho. Sorry, I was in the office verifying that. Just Idaho, but it's the only school for now that is in Idaho that provides this stuff for kids with dyslexia and other learning issues. I think there's 18 or more of them.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, so the 2021, I kind of was like, okay, I think it's going to be a crazy year. I know that people are feeling pent up, and we need to pull this off, even though, and I thought that the COVID wave had hit in the late winter, early spring of 21. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it relaxed in summertime when we're building props and we're planning and we're sponsorship fundraising and we're doing all that. So I'm like, okay, everything's going to be great. And we went from raising 1,200 that first time to raising 8,800 this time. And that was a huge help. We were able to get some really cool props. Like we have a full grown, and it's fake, but it's a life-size horse. But we turned it into a fabulous unicorn.
Of course.
And
why wouldn't you?
Like it has. And so it's got this glorious horn and it's glows in the UV light. So it's in the black light. It's just magnificent. And it has super like iridescent opaly hair. And it's amazing. We're like, we have to have this. So some of the sponsors pooled together and we were able to get that. And so we were like planning, this is going to be it. And then we were able to get the fairgrounds and we were just super excited. And then late September, COVID hit a new wave and I lost one of my number two, like my other main person, and she's more organized than I am. So I'm like, I'm screwed. But we pulled it out again, put out an SOS to the community and got some help. And we were able to, the first night we sold out. And I could not believe that. We can take about 515 max a night. And on Saturday night, we had 525 tickets sold.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then we do that for 7 nights. So we had over 25, 24, 50, something like that people. So 2,450 people go through and we raised over $25,000.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So that gets to help more kids. We already have 3 families asking and following through the grant process or the scholarship process. And we can help them. It's not, they're partial scholarships, but when any bulk of a tuition can get paid, it helps and you can make payments the rest of the year. But our goal, like my 5-year goal with Neon Jungle is that we would make six figures consecutive in 5 years. So right now we're at 6 figures. Yeah. So right now we're at 5 figures and we're slated hopefully to double. So make around 50,000 this year. And then I want to make 100,000 by maybe next year or the year after. And then just ramp that up a little bit more and make that a sustainable, cool thing for the community. The other cool thing is the community really likes it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that whole, like, when you were talking about the Meow Wolf and all of those things, and we went to that like art installation when we were it was in the Venetian, and like it was just really cool to have a place even to take photos, unique photos, because right now social media is so important, and like to have those interesting content photos, like to have something like this, it's unique that you can't just go out and just in your backyard and create that scene. I think it's just so phenomenal. Plus it's giving entertainment to kids and families, and it's something else to do besides, the same things families do, especially in the area. And then it gets cold. So it's fun to like have something to look forward to like this. And I think it's very smart.
Thank you. We love doing it like all year long. We're collecting ideas. We're like, okay, we're going to do this. We're learning crazy stuff. Like I'm going through the Imagineers Disney like education program because I got to learn how to do Pepper's ghost illusions so that it looks like a bird's really flying, even though it's not. But we want to ramp it up every year and make it super cool so that it is like the quality of Meow Wolf or something. But when I saw that Meow Wolf, and then there's Otherworld in Ohio, and they're popping up, and I'm like, good, because I love that the community, and for me, I adore. I was originally born and raised in San Diego, and I moved up here when I was 19, and so I've been here almost 20 years, and um, I I've something cool happens in Seattle, so you go to Seattle, or something pops up in Portland, you go to Portland. And I was like, why don't we come closer? Get over here. There's people. And I realized like there isn't gonna be something like that here unless we do it here. And so I think that I'm betting on our community too to pitch in, and that just gives me a lot of hope and pride that, yeah, we do like stuff. That's cool. We're going to come out
in our community. I know I just interviewed some women on the podcast, Alan Callie, with the Art and Cultural Alliance. And that was cool. One of the things we talked about was like, how many people do crave that art and that excitement. And then you have the kids. I think more kids need to be exposed to things like this. And then it's really cool for artists to get involved with a project like this, that some artists probably out there that I don't know if you do connect with them, but they would love to be a part of this because this is like what they like their passion is.
Yeah. So that's my big goal this year. And so something like this is super helpful, and knowing all the things and keeping tabs. I love that name, by the way. It's perfect. Love it. But I just, we are looking to reach out more and more in the community. We have a few people that are interested, but it takes an army, especially with some of the stuff we have planned. So like any kind of artist or creative, it doesn't even have to be whatever you would consider fine art. It can be crafting. It can be you just like doing whatever. We have projects that require more than one creative director. So me and my team of 3 are kind of organizing and making things happen. But the more that people come in, we have really fun things for them to do. And every voice is valuable. So if somebody like we've had volunteers come in and they're like, well, what if it looked like this instead? I'm like, that's a great idea. Do it. And they're like, whoa. So empowering creative people too, which I think as a creative, it could be really tough to speak up for your inner creativity sometimes and be like, no, I'm creative and I have a point of view and it should be this. Like, so in this environment, because I understand that, I want Neon Jungle to be that place where creative people can be heard and then express it. And then the community loves it. And then we're helping our kids. And that's just how it should be. So there.
So what are your big plans for this year? Do you have any cool things that like I know you probably can't tell everything, but like, do you have any little things you can kind of tease us with of, plans for this? And when is the Neon Jungle this year?
Yeah. So Neon Jungle will be the middle 2 weeks of October, from the 14th, 15th, 16th, or something like that, or 15th, 16th, 17th. Yeah. And then the next weekend after that. So 20, and there's a Thursday, the 24th, 5th, 6th, 7th, something like that. The middle 2 weeks of October, we'll be taking over the fairgrounds. We'll be in building 3, which is right by the entrance. And ticket sales will probably start in August. And then I can share this one because we can for sure do it. We're going to have a candy room, like a Willy Wonka. Yeah. It'll be like giant suckers and huge walls of chocolate. And it'll just be like you're lost in Willy Wonka's factory.
I feel like that's if you grew up and you watched that as a kid, like that is your dream as a kid, actually walk into Willy Wonka's factory and be like walking around those, The only issue, because I'm surprised every time at what people will do. So we try to make it very tactile so that kids and stuff can touch things, but some things are not as strong as
as 2,000 people coming along and touching it. So like the horse is made of metal. We had grown men getting on there who wanting their picture on the unicorn. Like, I mean, 50-year-old logger guy getting on there. He wants this picture. I'm like, I love it. This is awesome. But then we had other folks that like, I have these special glowing mushrooms and they don't glow with a light. They have a special way of glowing and people could not figure it out. So people like take a mushroom. I'm like, what? Well, I have a backup. So I just add mushrooms every night to the logs because people want to figure it out. I'm like, this is interesting. So I have to make things pretty sturdy.
Yes, you do.
And I'm pretty sure somebody's going to lick something in the candy room. So we might give out candy.
Like, so they don't like, this is not real candy.
Right? This is going to be disappointing if you lick this.
Not a chocolate wall. This is mud.
Yeah, I know, right? It's paint and you're not going to like it. So don't. But I just love that people come alive and they think that they can and they try and go for it. You're having a good time. So.
I love that. Well, another question is, okay, so people are listening, they're excited, they love your story, which I love that you told us your whole story of how, you with your kid all the way through the school stuff to like, you're like, all right, this is what's going to happen and how I'm going to get my kid to like be able to be the best, boy he can be and like all these great things. What are ways that people can get involved? How do they contact you? How maybe they want to donate, maybe they want to like use their hands, or maybe they just volunteer and whatever. How does someone get a hold of you and like connect with you?
Yes, absolutely. So you can, if you want to get a hold of me personally, you can go to the go SARAH, so Sarah at W2L foundation.com. And that's my email for the foundation. I'm the event coordinator, manager, organizer for them. We've pulled off other events too, and they were successful, but I can only pull off Neon Jungle now. It's so big. So, but you can email me there with any questions. And it's W2L, so Wired to Learn Foundation, but W2LFoundation.com. And then, or you could just go to Wired. Let me double check that it's, if it's Wired to like the number 2,
okay.
Learn Foundation. And it's W2LFoundation.com. And you can see what the foundation's doing as well. We're a 501c3. And so you can see the board. You can donate directly on that website if you want to. We have resources on there for like the scholarship application is on there. Our event calendar, like all the good stuff is on there. And so yeah, W2LFoundation.com. And then, or you can email me, Sarah at W2LFoundation.com.
That's perfect. Do you take like donations of things like, hey, this is like, you need plywood? I mean, things like that people may have extra of that can, they think is like, this is going to sit in their basement, but like, I think wood, because prices of like lumber and stuff's expensive. Is there things like that you're like, yes, we take that and we want that we need?
Yes. Yep. Lumber is a huge one because we will be building out a room within a room. So lumber or if you know of a local manufacturer or someone who has a CNC machine that we could use, I'm going to reach out to Gizmo, who I also
say, have you reached out to them? Because they got all the goods.
I did in 2019 and they were busy, which I totally get. So we're going to, and that's the thing with growing something, be it a business or an event, something that doesn't work the first year doesn't mean it'll never work. People that want to contribute one year might not be able to the next year. And that's okay. Because it's just taking a village to take care of each other. And I see that now. I think I was more insular before, where I was just like, okay, I'll just take care of me and mine. And I realized the more that I branch out and stop worrying about being taken care of, and I care about others, the more I am taken care of, if that makes any
For
sense.
sure. No, I get it. 100%. Work in the nonprofit realm, so I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. And I love that you work and take care of and help with the trails. The Trail of the Coeur d'Alenes is like, if I didn't have that, I don't know what, but we also live right by
Where do
the
you live?
Centennial. We live in Post Falls in the
Okay.
Highlands. So right by the Centennial Trail, and we get on our bikes and I can go forever, like however many miles I want to.
Mhm.
It helps us be safe because
They're
not every automobile is watching out for us.
Nope.
So and so I adore all the trail stuff.
Good.
It's you could say, yeah, it's for sure saving lives.
Mhm.
You just don't want to quantify it because you don't, yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
hear about it because we do have so many safe trails around here that are away from the road, away from traffic, that kids can ride their bikes on it, and parents can see them in the distance and know they're going to be okay. They're going to maybe
Yes.
run into a tree if they're not paying attention, but other than that, like
Yeah.
it's a good way to put it too. Is also bringing safety for especially for our families. They can go on a big bike ride and not have to stress, get off the road and freak out.
Right. Yeah. And you can go a long way. Like it's really special. I love that trail. And but the safety is like huge for me. I've known too many women who have lost a husband to cycling and a car not being careful. And it's just not, you're not very protected on a bike. The helmet can only protect so much. And so yeah, I would say what you do saves lives, but
Well, thanks. You made my day.
you're welcome. It's true though. It's true. So yeah, I do love it.
One of the last questions I ask, because you made this really easy for me. I didn't even have to have questions, but I was like, oh, she's going to give me before I even.
Sorry.
No,
I'm long-winded.
Oh, I love it because we needed to know like kind of your backstory and how it became to what it is. And I like when I found out that you're doing it this year, I cannot wait. I'm telling all my friends, let me know so we can buy our tickets, because I was like, you can use this for, taking photos and experience stuff. And it's a great, like, fun thing to do outside of the regular stuff. But, we talked about COVID and how it's been a, rough couple years, and as an event planning, you never know what's going to happen. That's what taught me, is that event planning, you can have everything ready, but something like COVID, you're like there, you have to recreate something. Like we did like brew hop in a bag. We did ales for the trail instead of the event, kind of
Yeah.
like giving out gift baskets. And it was like, yeah, it was good, but it wasn't the same. And so, and then there's mental health that goes with everything that's been going on, emotional health, physical. What kind of piece of advice would you give to someone maybe out there that's struggling, maybe even with your realm, with having a kid that has
It's all right.
words are hard today. Anything with see, I can't even use words.
It's
Nope.
all right.
You want to copy it?
Neurodiverse, dyslexic. I know the one that's really, I don't hate it, but it's hard to say, is dyscalculia.
Yeah. Not even going to try.
I don't even try to say it fast. I have to break it out syllable by syllable, but that's trouble with numbers. Like, they can't, like if I wrote two, they don't translate that into like two trees or two pennies or two, like, there's just.
We were talking about that the day that you and you were explaining it to me, and I was like, oh, that is mind blowing. That is crazy. But what would you give maybe a piece of advice to someone that's, going through something right now?
I think, the thing I learned that like I was saying, I was pretty insular before, and I thought I'll just figure it out. And that was a big waste of time. Quite frankly, if I had reached out sooner to Elisa and been more humble about it, or, it was scary for me to make the first event because I was like, will anybody like it? I don't know. But the more I reach out into the community and let them know what's going on and that this is a thing that people need help, the more I realize, like, we live on a good planet and there's good humans on here who are willing to help, who know more than me about things. And so with the dyslexia, when Judah was diagnosed with that, and on spectrum autism, I was in denial at first, like, no, because he can spell hippopotamus easily. What do you mean? But he can't spell the. There's like a disparage, like, come on. And so I just had to um not honor the emotions and then figure it out. And so reaching out more. There's a lot of Facebook communities online that of parents with kiddos who are either neurodivergent or have a learning issue like dyslexia or another one. And some of them kids can have a couple. Dysgraphia and dyslexia kind of look a lot alike. And so there are schools that can help. Looking up Aerosmith, that's the program that our school uses. They were based out of Toronto. They're pretty incredible. And it's Arrow, like ARROW Smith, not like the band. So they're incredible, but there's a lot of resources out there if you look. And if you're in Idaho, reach out to the foundation and we will help you. So there's that. And then with building events and all that, I couldn't have done it without the people helping, like the team that believed in the idea, believed in me, believed in this movement. If I had tried by myself, like really by myself, this would have never worked. And so just having, I guess I didn't think about it before, but it was a little bit just kind of a curmudgeon. And now I'm like, the more I lean on people and they lean on me, the better person I become of a person. And so I never thought I would be a part of a nonprofit. As an entrepreneur, I'm just like, profit, nonprofit, ew. But but I didn't know what it meant, and I didn't have a good enough reason. And then Judah made me a better person by, the stuff he's dealing with. I'm like, oh, I need to get out of my own little world and get into the bigger world and start playing there. And so yeah, we all have trauma, we all have hurts. But kind of leaning on one person and then leaning on another, and then maybe reaching out in the community, and we can all be better. So, yeah.
Awesome. No, that was perfect. You're fantastic. I just adore you. I'm so glad I got to talk to you. Thank you.
Same here, Tabitha. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. I love this.
Thanks for listening to Keeping Tabs. I'm Tabitha Crock, and every Monday I release a podcast about different community members here in North Idaho. And then we end the weeks on Fridays with a podcast about the things I'm passionate about: outdoors, adventures, sports, the van life, and even current events. So if you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes. Thank you again. Now go be kind and do something great.